I don't even know where to start. I've rewritten this story about 10 times because every time I try to tell it, I start shaking. My hands literally won't stay still. If you're reading this, please don't scroll away, because this isn't some internet creepypasta or clickbait confession. This actually happened to me. And if you've ever been accused of something you didn't do, you'll know the kind of quiet, sick fear that lives in your stomach when the world turns against you. My name's Ethan Parker, and I used to have a normal life. A small house, a job I didn't hate, and someone I loved more than anything. Her name was Hannah. She was warm, funny, chaotic in all the best ways. The kind of woman who filled a room just by walking in. We'd been together for 3 years. She was a nurse, I worked maintenance at a hotel downtown. We weren't rich, but we were happy. Or at least, I thought we were. Then, one night, she didn't come home. At first, I thought she was pulling another late shift. She sometimes stayed at the hospital when things got bad. But when midnight turned to 3 a.m., and 3 a.m. turned to dawn, my stomach twisted into knots. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her co-workers hadn't seen her since she left around 9:30. By noon, I was driving around town, calling every number I could think of. Her mom. Her best friend. The hospitals. The cops. No one knew where she was. When I filed a missing person report, the officer at the desk barely looked up. "Give it 24 hours, he said. People disappear all the time. But she wouldn't. Not Hannah. 2 days later, they found her car. Abandoned on a dirt road outside town. Her purse was inside. Her phone was gone. That's when they called me in for questioning. I told them everything, where I'd been, who I'd talked to, what time I'd gotten home. I was cooperative. Nervous, sure, but who wouldn't be? But the detective, a man named Graves, kept looking at me like I was performing. Every time I said, I loved her, his eyebrow twitched like he'd heard it 1,000 times from guilty men. Then he slid a photo across the table. Hannah. Cold. Lifeless. Covered in mud and bruises. My throat closed. I couldn't speak. They found her body 10 miles from where they'd found her car, near a creek. The cause of death, blunt force trauma. And then Graves said the words that turned my world to ash. Ethan Parker, you're our prime suspect. I remember laughing, a hollow, broken sound that didn't even feel human. What the hell are you talking about? I loved her. I'd never. He cut me off. Your fingerprints were on the trunk. There was blood on your jacket. And witnesses saw your truck near the area that night. It didn't make sense. I hadn't even left the city that night. I was home, fixing a leaky pipe, eating cold pizza, and watching Breaking Bad reruns until 2 a.m. I told them that. They didn't care. Graves just leaned forward and said. You'd be amazed how many killers say they loved their victims. They booked me. Mugshot. Fingerprints. Jail. The cell smelled like bleach and despair. The other inmates whispered when they saw my face on the news. Girlfriend killer, one of them muttered. That label stuck faster than the truth ever could. My lawyer, a tired public defender named Marissa, tried her best, but the evidence was stacked like a wall around me. My fingerprints on her car. Blood traces in my garage. A text from her phone to mine, we need to talk tonight. Except. I never got that text. My phone log showed nothing. But the cops had records saying I did. I knew then, someone had set me up. After 6 weeks in county jail, something strange happened. A man named Tyler, one of the inmates, passed me a note. It said. You're not the first guy they've done this to. Ask about Graves. At first, I thought it was a joke. But when I asked him, his eyes darted around. Graves used to run with a guy named Dennis Hale. Cops covered up some bad stuff years ago. Maybe your girl got too close to something. That didn't make sense. Hannah was a nurse, not a journalist. But then I remembered something. 2 weeks before she died, she told me a patient had come into the ER, a young man, beaten nearly to death. She said he was terrified, kept whispering, "They're cops. They're cops." She didn't report it officially, but she mentioned it to a coworker. What if that patient was connected to Graves? Marissa managed to pull the hospital records. That patient, his name was Eli Morton, had vanished from the hospital hours after being admitted. No discharge papers, no transfer. Just gone. And guess who was the responding officer on his missing report? Detective Graves. I knew then that Hannah must have asked too many questions. And when she did, she became a problem. And I became the solution, the perfect fall guy. One night, during trial prep, Marissa found something huge. The timestamp on the text from Hannah's phone. It was sent after her estimated time of death. When she brought it up in court, the prosecution went pale. They tried to spin it, said maybe time-syncing errors caused confusion. But then Marissa called in a digital forensics expert, and that's when it all started to crumble. The text wasn't sent from Hannah's phone. It was cloned. Spoofed using a police-only device meant for undercover operations. In other words, it came from inside the department. Within days, Graves went on leave. Then, 2 other officers were suddenly reassigned. A whistleblower finally came forward. He said Graves had been part of an off-the-books group that planted evidence in cases tied to drug money and problem witnesses. Hannah had treated one of their victims. She'd been talking about going to the press. That's why she had to die. And I was just unlucky enough to love her. The case fell apart. The charges were dropped. But I didn't walk out of that courtroom a free man. Freedom isn't real when your name's been dragged through hell. My neighbors still whisper. My boss didn't rehire me. Even my own parents look at me with quiet doubt, like there's a 1% chance I might have done it. I didn't. But that doesn't matter anymore. The truth rarely does. Now I live in a small cabin outside Flagstaff. No neighbors. No cops. Just the sound of wind and the memory of her laughter that still echoes in the back of my mind. Sometimes I dream of Hannah standing at the foot of my bed. She doesn't say anything. Just looks at me. And when I wake up, I can still smell her perfume, faint and gone in seconds. I tell myself it's just my mind playing tricks. But deep down, I think she's reminding me that I can't stop fighting. Because Graves is still out there. And justice, real justice, hasn't been served. So Reddit, tell me something. If someone destroyed your life, took everything from you, and walked away smiling, would you try to forgive them? Or would you spend every breath you had trying to make sure they paid for it? Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear what you would do. And if this story hit you even a little, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the truth isn't always found in courtrooms. Sometimes it's buried in stories like this one. And honestly, I'm still not sure what I'm doing.